Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going way back to revisit some marketing wisdom from Seth Godin,
Oh, yeah.
someone who was really thinking outside the box about marketing
Absolutely.
even decades ago.
Yeah.
And we're going to see what we can apply from his work to someone like you who's getting ready to launch a brand new business.
Yeah, his stuff is so relevant even today. He really understood how much the marketing landscape was changing
Right.
and, how to actually cut through and connect with people in a way that really matters.
So he starts off by talking about this attention economy,
Yeah.
which kind of sounds scary.
I.
But what he basically means is that in the world we live in now, attention is the most valuable resource, not factories or products.
Yeah. It's like, imagine trying to get people to notice your lemonade stand when there's a million other lemonade stands right there on the block.
Exactly.
It's so crowded.
And think about, your own experience just in a day. You're bombarded with messages and social media and emails and ads that follow you around the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's overwhelming.
It is.
And it makes it so hard for a new business to kind of break through.
Yeah, you really have to cut through all that noise.
Well, and he uses this really striking example of people throwing away microwaves instead of getting them repaired.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper just to buy a new one.
It's crazy.
And it just highlights that challenge
Yeah.
of how do you, as a new business owner, compete with that?
Exactly. And that abundance.
Yes.
It's not like a lack of stuff. There's
Right.
too much stuff.
So how do you even begin to stand out when there's so much going on?
Well, and that's where I think his thinking gets really interesting.
Okay.
He talks about how traditional marketing, like, those TV commercials
Yeah.
that everyone hates, or those pop-up ads, everyone's trying to block.
Everyone's tuning out.
Yeah, exactly. They're just becoming less and less effective.
Yeah.
And for someone starting a business, that's a huge problem because you don't have a ton of money to waste on marketing. That doesn't work.
Right. So is the solution just to shout louder than everyone else?
Well, some companies are certainly trying to do that.
Yeah.
They're buying more ad space. They're making their ads more outrageous. They're just spending more money overall.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a losing battle, because the more they shout, the more clutter they create, and it just gets harder and harder to be heard.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
So what's a new business owner with, very few resources to do?
Well, that's where Godin's concept of permission marketing comes in.
Okay.
And I think this is particularly relevant for you,
Okay.
As you're starting out.
Yeah.
Instead of interrupting people with messages, they don't want you to focus on building relationships with people who've already shown an interest in what you have to offer.
So it's about attracting the right people, not just any people.
Exactly. It's like building a tribe of loyal customers
Mm.
who trust you and are actually excited to hear from you.
Yeah.
And it all starts with getting their permission.
Okay, so how do you get permission in the marketing world?
Right.
Is it like signing a contract or something?
I think it's more like starting a conversation. Godin uses this dating analogy, which I find really helpful.
Yeah.
Imagine you're on a first date.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just launch into a sales pitch about how great you are, right?
Yeah.
You'd want to find some common ground, get to know the other person, and build some sort of connection.
So instead of interrupting them with that sales pitch, you're offering something of value,
Right.
something that makes them want to engage.
Exactly. And that could be, a free ebook, a webinar, a discount code, some kind of exclusive content, anything that's really valuable to your target audience.
Yeah.
And makes them actually want to say, hey, I'm interested in what you have to say.
So you're not buying attention, you're earning it.
Right.
It's more like building a relationship than just kind of shouting from the rooftops,
Yeah, exactly.
which I like.
Yeah, and it's especially important for a new business, because you're not just selling a product or a service, you're building a brand
Yeah.
and a reputation.
Right.
And that takes time and it takes trust.
Well, and he has this great example of a summer camp
Oh, yeah.
that uses permission marketing really effectively.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just send out a generic brochure to everyone in town. They offer like a free video and a more detailed brochure,
Yeah.
but only to people who request it.
Right. So they're not just blasting it out to everyone.
Exactly.
They're waiting for people to raise their hand and say, hey, we're interested.
And what's so great about that approach is that they're not trying to close the deal immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting a conversation. They're building that connection.
Exactly.
And by the time a family signs up for this camp,
Right.
they already feel like they know and trust.
Yeah, they're already part of the community.
Yeah.
Even before they officially sign up.
It's a really powerful idea. This is making me think about just online.
Yeah.
You know how overwhelming it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Sifting through all the marketing noise.
Yeah.
So as a new business, are there things you should be focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The online world is especially challenging. Godin actually debunks some common myths about web marketing.
Okay.
Like, the idea that if you build a website, they will come.
Right.
Just having a website isn't enough.
Right.
You need a strategy to get people to your site.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, to keep them engaged.
So how do you do that?
Well, Godin's a big believer in email marketing.
Okay.
Which might seem kind of old-fashioned, in today's world of social media.
Yeah.
But he argues that email allows for a much more direct and personal connection.
It's like you're having a one-on-one conversation with each person.
Right. And you can tailor your messages. You can provide valuable content. You can really nurture those relationships.
Because they've opted into getting those emails.
Right.
They're more likely to be receptive.
Exactly. You're not interrupting them. You're providing something that they've already said they're interested in.
So instead of trying to reach everybody with a general message, you're focusing on building a smaller but more engaged audience.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about playing the long game.
Okay.
Permission marketing isn't about quick fixes.
Yeah.
It's about building trust and loyalty over time.
Okay.
But those relationships, once you build them, they can be incredibly valuable.
It's like planting seeds that will grow into something much bigger.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this permission idea is really a fundamental shift in how you think about marketing.
And it's a shift that's more relevant than ever. As consumers get more savvy and they have more power to block out all the noise.
Right.
Permission marketing really offers a way to cut through and connect with them in a way that's just more authentic.
More meaningful.
More meaningful, yeah.
And I think it's really empowering for new businesses because it levels the playing field. You don't need a massive marketing budget to succeed.
Yeah.
You just need a strategy that's about building those genuine connections.
Exactly. And that's something that any business, regardless of their size or budget, can do.
Now let's look at some specific examples of how this permission marketing actually plays out in the real world.
Yeah.
Godin shares some fascinating case studies that I think will really help us understand how to put all these ideas into practice.
I think these are going to be especially useful for you as you think about your own marketing strategy. They offer some really concrete ways to attract customers, build that loyalty, and ultimately grow your business.
All right, let's hear about those case studies.
So one of my favorite examples is the story of Joe Girard, who actually holds the Guinness World Record for being the world's greatest car salesman.
A car salesman?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like permission marketing.
I know, right?
You think it'd be all about the high-pressure sales tactics.
Exactly. But Girard had a totally different approach. He really understood the power of relationships. And he used a surprisingly simple tool to build those relationships, greeting cards.
Greeting cards.
Yep, he sent out 12 greeting cards a year to everyone he knew, birthdays, holidays, even a just because card on August 23rd.
That's kind of genius, though.
Right.
It's not pushy.
Yeah.
It's just a friendly reminder that he's there. It keeps him top of mind without feeling like a sales pitch.
Exactly. And it worked.
Wow.
People felt like he actually cared about them as individuals, not just potential customers. So when they were ready to buy a car,
they thought of him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even in an industry as competitive as car sales, building genuine connections can make all the difference.
That's really encouraging for someone starting a new business, that you don't have to resort to those, aggressive tactics to succeed.
And this principle applies even more so online. Think about how you can translate that greeting card approach to the digital world. Maybe it's sending a personalized email on a customer's birthday or anniversary with their purchase, or sharing some kind of valuable content that genuinely helps your audience.
So it's not just about collecting email addresses.
Right.
It's about using those emails to nurture those relationships.
Yes. To stay connected.
Provide value.
Yeah. It's like you're inviting people into your world, not trying to force your way into theirs.
Okay. I like that.
And that brings us to another one of Godin's key concepts, anti-compression.
Anti-compression?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's the idea that you need to be constantly adding value, exceeding expectations, surprising your audience to keep them engaged.
So it's not just about that initial opt-in.
Right.
You have to keep earning it.
Yeah, every time you interact with them, you're building momentum.
Okay, so think about loyalty programs like frequent flyer miles or rewards points.
Oh, yeah.
They incentivize repeat business. but they also provide a way to keep customers engaged,
Mm-hmm.
like American Airlines with their Advantage program.
Exactly. They do a really good job with that.
I love racking up those miles, but it's not just about the points.
No, not at all. American actually uses the data they collect to offer personalized recommendations and promotions.
Okay.
They partner with other businesses like hotels and car rental companies to provide additional benefits.
Hmm.
They've created a whole ecosystem around their program, which keeps customers coming back for more.
So they're not just rewarding loyalty. They're
Yeah.
actively cultivating it by providing that ongoing value.
Exactly. And you can do the same thing with your business, even on a smaller scale.
Okay.
Maybe it's offering exclusive discounts to your email subscribers or creating a VIP program for your most loyal customers.
Okay.
The key is to make them feel valued and appreciated.
I like that.
Godin also talks about the importance of making things really easy and accessible for the user. Nobody wants to wade through a complicated website or deal with confusing forms.
Yeah.
He calls this self-liquidating rewards.
Okay.
Incentives that are valuable to the customer but don't cost you a fortune. It could be a free download, a checklist, a template, or early access to new products or services, something that gives them immediate value in exchange for their email address or contact information.
So win-win.
Exactly.
They get something useful, and you get to start that relationship.
Exactly. What about social media?
Yeah, isn't that important for reaching a bigger audience?
Social media can definitely be a powerful tool, but it's important to remember that you're playing by someone else's rules.
Okay,
You don't own the platform.
right.
And algorithms can change on a dime, which can make it a lot harder to reach your audience organically.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're kind of at the mercy of those social media companies.
Yeah, so even if you are using social media to promote your business, it's still important to have a way to connect with your audience directly on your own terms.
And that's where email marketing comes in.
Exactly. Think of your email list as your home base.
Okay.
It's a place where you have more control, where you can really build those direct relationships.
You're not just shouting out to everybody.
Right.
You're actually having a conversation.
Exactly.
It feels much more personal.
Yeah, much more authentic, and it's less about interrupting and more about adding value, which I think is a refreshing approach.
Especially in today's world.
Yeah, and the beauty of permission marketing is that you can actually track your results.
Yeah.
You can see who's opening your emails, clicking your links, and ultimately making purchases.
Okay.
And this data can be super valuable for refining your strategies and making sure you're connecting with the right people.
It's like a feedback loop.
Yeah,
You're constantly learning and improving.
exactly. But it all goes back to that initial permission. If you don't have that foundation of trust, none of those tactics are going to work.
Right. It all starts with that invitation.
And as a new business owner, you have this amazing opportunity to build that permission from the ground up to create a brand that's built on authenticity and genuine connection.
So we've talked a lot about the how of permission marketing.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the why. Why is this approach so important, especially now?
That's a great question.
Right.
I think it really comes down to this fundamental shift in how people interact with brands.
Okay.
People are just tired of being interrupted and bombarded with messages they don't want.
Yeah.
They're looking for brands that they can connect with on a deeper level, brands that share their values, brands that make them feel seen and heard.
It's like we're moving away from this transactional model of marketing, where it's all about the hard sell,
Right.
toward a more relational model where it's about building trust and loyalty over time.
Exactly. And I think that's really exciting, especially for new businesses. You have the chance to create a brand that's built on those principles of authenticity and connection right from the start.
And that's a brand that's going to resonate
Yeah.
and stand out
Absolutely.
and thrive.
It's about building a community, not just a customer base.
Yeah.
And that's super powerful.
This has been so insightful.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I feel like I have a much clearer understanding of permission marketing
Yeah.
and how I can start putting these principles into practice as I build my new business.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There's going to be ups and downs, challenges and triumphs.
Yeah.
But if you stay focused on building those genuine connections, you'll be well on your way to creating a successful and sustainable business.
So listener, we've covered a ton of ground today.
Yeah.
From this whole idea of the attention economy
Yeah.
to the power of permission marketing. But before we wrap things up and send you off to,
Right.
start building your business, we want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Something that we didn't explicitly mention in our deep dive today,
Okay.
but something that we think is absolutely crucial for any aspiring entrepreneur out there,
I'm all ears.
think about your why.
Your why.
Why are you starting this business?
Yeah.
What problem are you solving? What impact do you want to make? Because when you're clear on your purpose, it makes all the difference in how you approach your marketing.
That's so true. Your why is like your North Star. It guides every decision you make.
Yeah.
And when your marketing is aligned with your purpose, it just feels so much more authentic.
Right.
It resonates with people. It's not just about selling a product or service. It's about connecting with your audience on a deeper level.
It's about finding those people who share your values.
Exactly.
Who believe in what you believe in, because those are the people who are more likely to become not just customers, but advocates for your brand.
Absolutely. And those advocates, they're priceless.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are going to spread the word. They're going to help you build that community around your business.
It's like that ripple effect.
Yes.
Where one genuine connection leads to another and another.
Yeah. It's really powerful.
And that's the beauty of permission marketing. It's not just about transactions. It's about building something that's meaningful.
Right.
Something that lasts.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey. It's not a destination. There's going to be ups and downs, challenges and triumphs. But if you stay true to your purpose, if you keep those relationships at the forefront of your mind, you'll be well on your way to building a successful and sustainable business.
So, listener, that was a deep dive indeed.
Yeah, it was.
What are you going to implement?
Right. What stood out to you?
What was the most important takeaway? And expert speaker, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway here is that you don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. Building those genuine relationships with your customers, that's the most valuable investment you can make.
Perfectly said. Until our next deep dive, keep learning and growing.